Right. Happy Friday. Happy last call of the year. Happy December 15th. Welcome to MVP Office Hours. I am Dale Ziegler. With me, as always, the two best friends anybody could ever ask for, Squire and Joy. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
I got to
And
step
of
up my
course,
game.
you got to step up your game. Are you trying to be like my best friend? I mean, it's not a contest. You just said it
Yeah,
before I hit
it's an
record. It's not a
excellent
contest.
point. Excellent point.
You're all my best friends, actually. But yes, welcome. We do this the first and third Friday of the month, unless we don't. Find us on LinkedIn. I think we have all shifted over now individually away from the Twitter X, the X Twitter, the Elon sphere, whatever you call it now. But we do still have the MVP Office Hours handle on X. Then there's mvpofficehours.info as well as that email address, which is gonna pop up a out of office reply that says, hey, go to the Trailblazer Success Community group and post your question there, because the more the merrier.
Yep.
Next.
And why does this never want to move? There it is.
So normally first and third Friday of the month, we've actually been on a really good groove the last several months. We'll keep that going next month. Next call will be on January 5th, post holidays, post New Year, and let us be probably the 37th out of another 85 to wish you all a happy holiday season, whatever it is that you celebrate. This is an open Q&A. You can always catch registration at bit.ly/MVPOH. Our recordings are at any of those three social handles there, but you can go straight to YouTube and you'll get all but recording number 1, and we're somewhere around 255 right now. And then if you post about us or share anything that we post, just use one of our favorite hashtags. So if you've never been here before, we want everyone to share. We want everybody to be as willing as they are feeling to contribute. Sometimes we have lurkers who are just kind of like, okay, I just want to see what's going on, or I just want to hear what people are talking about. Other times we have people who are just like, I'm not even going to let you finish the question. I'm going to answer it. Whatever. Just feel free to jump in and be part of the group. We don't bite. If you have a question, you can either put it in the chat or use the Zoom reactions to raise your hand, and we try to abide by first in, first out as much as possible. Please forgive us if we are imperfect in that, but we are trying. We also will have the chat windows open on all three of our screens to monitor, and we can help facilitate that. We also use chat to post any valuable links or resources. You can also share your screen, but please do not share production. We are recording, which, side note, if you are not comfortable being recorded, if you're not allowed to be recorded, whatever, please jump off. We will have the recording posted to YouTube sometime this weekend. You can still go back and see all the fun, see all the resources, see all the things. But going back to do not share production, because we're recording, you don't want your data, your client's data, anything like that to be recorded for forever. So either show us a sandbox or a dev org or a playground, whatever it is that is not production. Production is our last possible option. And then overall, let's just have fun. We're friends here. We're here to help each other. I think we've all grown close enough to know how we can lovingly poke fun at each other, but let's keep it professional and positive. No bashing your company, no bashing employees, no bashing other members of the Salesforce community, no bashing members of Salesforce. I think I would hope that we've all grown to appreciate that we're all just trying to survive this crazy world, and because we got answers from somebody that we don't agree with doesn't make them a bad person. Let's not bash them. Salespeople have sales quotas, et cetera, et cetera. We're all just trying to survive. So let's keep it professional, but let's still have some fun. Next. Events, the in-person stuff. I love how every single time we show this slide, there's more new countries represented. About a month, Philippines, and then a week after that, Japan. That is really cool to see. Cactus Force in Scottsdale towards the end of January. Snow Force is always a good one. Texas Dreamin' in May. And then TDX, that is always a super popular one in San Francisco right around March 6th. So be look, you can use the link in the upper right corner for the community events. And then I haven't clicked on just salesforce.com in a while, but I'm going to guess there is a massive banner or advertisement for TDX that you probably can't miss. So definitely be looking out for those. And then your local groups. I used to be a user group leader. Squire and Joyce still lead their groups. I know we have other user group leaders that float in and out of the calls. They are great opportunities to actually meet, talk, have some food, have a drink with other people in your area, to idea share, to vent, to network, to do all the things. So definitely look into those as well. So with that, I think we are now jumping into the questions.
Yeah, and my thing froze up, so it's gonna take just a second for me to jump right back to it.
Yeah, and actually I see Scott on the call, and I'm pretty sure Steve Moe answered it in his heroic fashion that he usually does. But Scott, since you were brave enough to post and Steve Moe was there to rescue, I'm gonna guess whatever you asked, you are not the first one to have asked it. So you want to just give us a summary and a breakdown of the question and answer, because somebody listening to the recording might benefit from it.
Well, basically, we just whenever an opportunity contact role is tagged as primary on an opportunity, we wanted that specific contact's lead source and campaign information to be written to the opportunity. And I was getting an error whenever I tried to filter on the primary attribution or attribute for the contact role. And tried a couple different ways around it, forming the fields, looking at it, using a different type of automation. And Steve Moe basically just said you can ignore it. And so I get the error every time working in the flow, but the flow works. So he was right. Another beer.
It's one of those, like, it's more of an alert than an error, or is it, I mean, like, what are you seeing there?
Well, it literally says it's an alert when you save the flow, and it gives you the little yellow triangle. And it tells you that this is a derived data value. It's not actual data. And it says to remove that criteria. And so it basically just ignore the error and it still works.
So, and to expand on that, because I assume the idea being that since it is derived, effectively a formula, it runs in user context. And so if you have criteria based on that, your flow might not act the way you expect it to if you're using a formula as a criteria. And so it's like, hey, you know, that's a concern, but they don't tell you to stop, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
So
we're not cool, but okay.
Well, good info for a beer.
So yeah. There it is.
Well, and those are some of the fun things that, like, before I moved into consulting, I was just an admin. I'd spend my Friday afternoons just exploring and figuring out, hey, what does is primary actually do? And those are the kinds of fun out of the box things that you can really do some powerful things with, but they do come with some catches, some hitches on them. Like Squire was mentioning, user context, like, do they have the field level security, anything like that? But no, those are the fun ones. I'm glad Steve was able to jump in and help out with that one.
Yep. We need to get him a cape and some leotards at some point. Joy's laughing because she's picturing that, right?
I'm not 100% sure that Steve would be on board with the leotards. On the cape, yes. The leotard, maybe not so much. That
I don't know. Steve's done some pretty crazy things. I mean, let's not forget the sequin jacking up on stage with Macklemore.
Yes.
The jacket. I think, yeah. Anyway. Steve can weigh in on that costume request another time. What else do we have?
Well, Rochelle has a pretty good question, but I think I'd like to have her be able to speak to it. So, and I think sometimes she joins a little bit later. So why don't we jump to Christy then?
Thanks. So has anyone used the progress bar in a flow, and is there something else that makes it clickable instead of having to have a field with it? Or, you know, like the path can be clickable and you update, kind of hoping. A colleague of mine downloaded it, configured it in the sandbox, we have the field below it so it stays, but I was just wondering if anyone's used it.
As far as I know,
Mhm.
it is not. It just shows you where you are based on the steps that you specify.
Okay, I was hoping there's other magic, but that's what we found. Thank you.
I mean, it is potentially you could modify it if you have a developer who would do that for you, but
Probably not within the scope of the project, since they don't like what the other team is using as the path. So we're basically faking their path for a different field.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I guess generally speaking, and I'm asking because it's been a while since I've been able to get my hands really dirty with Flow, is path leverageable in Flow?
not that I know of.
Gotcha.
What
Yeah, it's a
about,
downloaded thing from Salesforce Labs that Unofficial SF points you to, and it just shows you kind of the status where you're at. So it's as close to looking like the path as possible. We just have the field below it. So,
I'm curious, can you use a slider to represent the sequence of pick lists and basically trick the slider into being the path and then have it do like dynamic updates or something like that?
that is an interesting idea. I will get with Richard and have him find out. Thank you.
I mean,
I guess
there's thought that makes me think that slider actually just works on a numerical scale. You might not be able to feed defaults, but you might be able to trick it or even use radio buttons or something on a page layout now that you've got
Yeah,
full
that-
columns.
That
He wanted
slider,
to use radio, but go ahead.
well, I like the slider idea and thinking about what we've seen with reactive flow. If you replace that slider with a series of icons that looked like a path, and as you click on those icons, it just represents the stage of the path that it's going into, and the reactive flow could react to you clicking on those icons and bring up the key fields that are part of that path, the instructions that are part of that path, like all the stuff, all the path stuffy stuff, and just embed that into your reactive flow.
And they
I
don't
know
have any
that-
key fields, which is good. So they just
It's-
wanted the visual.
It's going to be a ton of work for somebody and somebody creative, more creative than me, to like think about what does that bar look like and how do I cut that bar into different icons. But
Well, and clickable icons is not a like standard component, so you need to figure out how to make that go.
Sarah, your mic isn't picking up. You sound like you're shouting across the room.
Sorry.
That's okay. We want to hear what you're saying. So
We heard you. It was just
So,
it's a good point, Sarah. Yeah, I mean you have to
Yeah.
figure out how to react to that click. Like
Is this
Yeah.
better?
way better.
not to put anybody on the spot, but we still have 43 minutes in the call with no hands raised, no questions in chat. So we
I
may
was-
be doing this live.
so.
Let's build it.
So before we do that, I want to look at Rochelle's question real quick, and I know that she probably has some more information, but how I'm reading this is that she's got. We'll come back to it, Christy. If you're all set for now, I want to build this live with you, but like I kind of want to like touch on that real quick. I feel like Rochelle's situation calls for child accounts with opportunities, and at least that's how I worked with that in the past.
you're the one who's read the details.
Oh yeah,
if
let me
you want to click
go
that
back.
link and take it. The link will take you right to the story, and then we
Look
can
at
read it.
you.
And just reading at a glance, and I know Clayton's
Oh,
going
I
to
don't
film
know
me when
where
I
I'm
say
at.
Clayton's going to feel me when I say this, but when we see like company relationships and everything and managing who owns who, who's controlled by who, who's like a sibling of who's the
Sure.
the drunk
So-
uncle company that shows up sometimes for a board meeting and they're related but not, like I don't know, it can get squirrely, but
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to identify a brand on a related opportunity like that. So I'm reading this as they work with several companies that have multiple brands under one roof. So perhaps you're working with I don't know.
Disney. I like
Yeah.
to use Disney, ABC,
Disney,
right?
yes,
They
yes.
own Marvel.
And the multiple brands might be Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and anyone else. Dale, what?
because with Disney, this is going to come right up with Disney. Simpsons is Fox, but you stream it on Disney. So you've got these weird kind of half relationships or whatever that I can guarantee you're going to build the perfect model for one scenario.
Right.
And then it's going to like not make sense again. So we just got to be very careful. And
There's
I'm
a
also,
couple,
I'm
yeah,
getting
there's
triggered by master detail too. So I'm going to go on
there's a
mute.
couple
with
different
Laundry. I'll
things
be
going
right
on
back.
here, right? And the first one is like, is the opportunity with a specific brand, like, you know, your contract for the brand and you're going up the chain and you're ultimately with the parent company, or do you have like some kind of like child account record, or do you just like slap on like a field which just feels so yucky that like talks about the brand on the opportunity so that they can collect that information in some way that's not going to be very consistent, but it can be updated.
I'm assuming by reading this, there's no worry about security or visibility, because in most situations like that
Whoa, there's
Disney
multi-pit lists in
example,
that? Oh yeah.
maybe one brand, I don't know if they're
Well,
selling to the
there's-
same
there's-
vendors, can they all, everybody in every brand see everything?
Well, and not only security though, but not every corporate hierarchy is the same. Not every multi-conglomerate is the same. Like you've got Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic. They're all, I think they're owned by Gap, but they operate differently. And so depending on what you're trying to report on or track activity of or do any number of things, there is no one size fits all, which is unfortunate. Like I think I don't know this is object relationships so much as I don't know. But
Now, the flip
you
side of
implement one solution, it will not apply to all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but I think you're right. Do you when you start this out, do you map out the data first, or do you map out the business processes and the legal and security issues first, and then go to the data?
Rochelle, why aren't you here?
Come on.
No, the flip side of this is that, am I reading this wrong? And she's talking about she's Disney and they're selling Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Simpsons. And the company Disney wants to track the brand performance to like outbound. And so there's two flavors of this that are like immediately in my head. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's a child account somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, it really depends on how you map the brands to the firm, to the account, because you probably have to be able to do that in multiple ways. It's not just this one account, right?
And it could be something as similar as you could set it up as a different opportunity record type with a different business flow. So that you're asking different questions, you're collecting different information on the brand for those opportunities also. So there's a couple different ways to accomplish this, but Rochelle, we need you.
Yeah, even if you had a screen flow that just said, because this is the firm, or I keep saying firm because we call it firm, this is the account. Okay, now here's the possible options for brand, add that, update it. Like there could be all kinds of downstream events, right?
For sure.
I feel like at some point it could be, and this I'm just hypothesizing, somewhat of a limited list. When I was at a prior company, we set up actually a competitor object that had, I don't know, 200 records, UPS, FedEx, and we could tie that to the account because they might be a competitor, or just one or two of them to an opportunity, whatever opportunity they were dealing with.
And that comes in handy for a number of different reasons.
So right now within Salesforce, my understanding is you have two levels. You have the lowest level, account level, and then you got the parent. Can that be like for Dell and I and Christy in our background, you may have an account, as Dell was talking about, you've got a local company, a national company, a conglomerate, and then a conglomerate, you may have 3 or 4 levels. So within Salesforce, do you have 2, or can you build parents for parents, if that makes sense?
Being a relational database, yeah, it's a 2-level. Trying to figure out how to word this without getting myself in trouble. You have a 2-level relationship, a parent and a child, that you can then create up to 5 or 10 generations worth. Like it, you have a parent, you have a child, the parent can be a child, that parent can be a child, but it's what are the relationships of these companies? Like Clayton, I think about the old mainframe system where you had your 9-level corporate hierarchy. And then if there was a logistics company managing it, you had a little thing on the side that said, yeah, but it's actually controlled by this 3PL, and it had its own corporate structure with relationships back over to all the things it controlled. There's no relationship there. It's like a bridge almost to be that this is ABC company and all their distribution centers and all their stores and all their whatever, ... But managing their logistics is this company.
So what I heard out of that was you can continue to build it up. Child to parent, then make that parent a child and build it up that way.
Yeah. Because every
Right.
record can look up one level to itself, up to a max number of depth, right? So
Yeah, it's either 5 or 10, or unless they've increased it. But
I think it's still,
Of course, the reporting might be kind of interesting. I haven't tried that.
yeah, that gets really
and
awesome.
that's yep. So
And then we come
like
back to Steve Moe and the ultimate parent. So
That's right. Steve Moe had a great video on parent. Like I still have that saved. It's from like 2021 or something.
fantastic. Fantastic. The so when we get back from Rochelle, there's a lot of questions I have for that, but
Before we
what do
leave
you
that
wanna do?
screen, I'm
What?
sorry. I was gonna say, don't leave that screen just yet, because I want to throw one other thing out there in case she watches this recording. Just, I think we're solving the problem that she has, but I do want to address that last paragraph. So I think she's
no master detail. No
right,
master
not only that,
detail.
but like I think she's just I don't say guessing, that's not what I mean, but like I'd like to understand where her thinking is, like why she thinks master detail is important. It really might not be. Why she thinks multi-pick list might address that need. Like I think there's a layer of understanding of like that second paragraph and all of the terminology and what they mean, and then going back to the first paragraph and say, okay, now here's how you want to solve it. So I don't, because I think it's two different things, right? It's two different conversations.
Mhm.
Because yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Hopefully she joins. Like I said, normally she joins late, so or regularly she joins late. So okay.
She'll see it.
Dilip was next up then, unless we want to try to back to Christie's play. I see that Sarah put something in the link that or in the chat to maybe help with that.
Yeah, just I found you can convert your pick list to images component. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Haven't played with it yet, but it looks cool.
I would say let's tackle any questions that we have before we get to like open evil laboratory time.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Dilip, you're up.
Yeah, hi. So I have a question regarding email to case, right? So we have multiple support teams. So they have multiple email to cases. The question, like the issue is when customer or client sends emails addressing those multiple email to cases, it creates multiple cases. So, and we are using the new threading behavior. So it creates multiple cases. That's fine. But when from one case, if our user replies back, that won't tie back to the other case because thread ID is the same. So it ties back to the same case one instead of, again, the reply, one more, it ties back two replies to the same case. So that's working as designed, right? So, but to solve that, like I'm currently working to build some POC where internally, instead of creating multiple cases, just create one case and transfer to the different queue internally and let other team work on that. So idea is that like to make it work like that. So are there any other like have you all come across anything like this? how do you like suggest like this kind of in these situations?
So what I'm hearing you ask about is you have multiple email addresses that are email to case, and you have clients that are sending to all of them instead of one specific. Is that accurate?
Yeah, sometimes.
And and you're trying to have one case instead of many for the single email that comes through, correct?
Yeah.
So, all right, let me,
So,
Can I ask why email to case? Do you not have any kind of a case intake on a website or anything like that?
that's another discussion we have too. So, but mostly this will be they're sending emails and all that. So, but in the future, yeah, the idea is like maybe build a web forms for the clients and customers, but that's not in the near roadmap for us.
And that's fair. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it could be a suggestion. It was more of a level setting question. It would definitely give you more control over the human behavior of email to case, because one web form, you then control what are the inputs or how do you direct the inputs. Whereas email to case, humans just want an answer. So they are going to blast every mechanism they can possibly get. And then unfortunately behind all of those email addresses are email to case rules. So, I mean, yes, I would long-term say, try to get away from email to case. Email to case is a great lightweight free tool, but it's free, which means you get what you pay for, not much. You can't really control the human behavior. So, longer term, yes, walk away from it. Shorter term, I don't know.
My idea like to make it one case. So I'm like kind of building with custom metadata, like we're storing my all email to case emails in there and like setting a priority for that. And whenever we get an email with addressing to two cases, like finding that it still creates two cases, but I'm going to delete that. So I have two in my custom metadata, I have two emails, which is priority 1, priority 2. So in my flow, I'm just trying to get that metadata, like see if any of those emails are addressed in that email in the case, and find that first priority case email and delete the other one. Like I'm trying to work in that approach. Not sure how from the performance wise, right? How much this will like, because there will be a lot of incoming emails and all that. So it has to check on everything.
How prolific of an issue is this? How often is it happening?
I checked my production data, it's happening regularly. So it's some user behavior, I mean like from Salesforce user behavior, and also from the client and customer that just adds all the emails when they're sending emails. So that's something.
feel like it's time for a new email address, and then
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and
yeah.
or a you know, like a general queue, like a general email to case. They all just go to the one email to case, so they're creating one. But yeah, I'm not really sure how to correct that, because you're asking for like a deduplication, like that's been sent into the system.
Yeah.
So right. So I know, but I know you said that this is happening regularly, but what's the percentage of email to cases, or what is the percentage of actual workable cases or issues that come in through that means versus the correct way? Because what you also don't want to do is throw away a perfectly good process that is the 90% of the 90-10. If 90% of your customers are doing it right, you don't want to punish them and your process. So that's an important question to understand as well. I like Joy's idea if that is the overwhelming behavior.
Yeah.
Dale, can you be a little more I want you to talk more, Dale.
No, nobody wants that. Stu,
Yes.
nobody wants that.
So from the tone of your voice, I'm hearing that maybe email to case is not
I'm a staunch believer.
optimal. Like, and I'm trying to read, so I'm trying to read through anytime I hear a problem with a feature or someone's struggling, I go to help salesforce.com and look up the words feature name considerations. And when I look at email to case, I see a number of them, and I see a lot of steps involved to set up email to Salesforce, how to enable it, how to relate messages to the right objects. So it seems like it's a little more complicated than what I thought it would be.
So here's my take if you want to hear me talk. Email to case was probably a really great tool when it was conceived around 2007. It then got no more love as our evolution away from email happened. Like I've been saying for 16, 17 years, email is dead. Can we please stop using it? And you know, companies that use Slack, companies that use those kinds of tools, that's great. They've walked away from email. At IBM, I get no emails except from clients. Like everything else is internal on Slack, but that doesn't change customer relationships, whatever. That's why my first suggestion was something in a lightweight standpoint was something like web to case, because surely there's some kind of a web facing mechanism that that customers could be directed to, because then on that, like web to case, just as lightweight, not as controllable, but then what about a ScreenFlow that's open to public that you then can control that logic while also conditioning your customers to stop using those email queues, because eventually they're not going to work anymore, to Joy's point earlier. Email to case is one of those great pieces of functionality that probably served a really quick function way back when. Nothing has broken it, but it's been given no love in the free unpaid space.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of, yeah, I hear the email, we should kill email, but I don't think we can in the real
No, we
world.
never will, but it needs to go. But it never will.
And other options. I'm just saying this to not to pick on Dale or to say bad things, but it's just even like web to case has limits. You can only do 5,000 web to case transactions in a 24-hour period. So if there are,
which is why then I would offer something like, if there's a ScreenFlow that can be embedded on a page that doesn't require authentication, you control the logic of what pick list fields were chosen, and if this, then go to this queue, if this, go to this queue, if whatever, give this escalation, like those kinds of things. It's still free. It costs you time to develop it and manage it, but it's not the free of you get to pick 4 fields that get configured from inbound, and that is it.
The idea of having control over your data and your business processes, that is a compelling reason to look at options.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if we answered the question.
Is it fair to say that what we're talking about, like, I'm going to paraphrase a lot of conversation, is it sounds like the question, Dilip, is about solving the outcome, and we're suggesting you should be solving the input. That way the outcome isn't the problem.
Yeah, so the end goal, right? I mean, you will be just share the emails that only that you need to be shared, and don't share all the emails to the clients and customers, so that way you won't get those duplicates. And still, clients and customers, they will find those another emails that they're not supposed to use. They just add those emails and they're like, hey, I might get the quickest response, so I just add all the emails that I know for this company, right? And that's what the problem, but that's something I'm not, maybe in the future, like you said, we might go into flows or some other web forms to submit this request and all this. But for now, yeah, it is happening. I'm not sure the number how many, but when I checked, it's quite happening regularly. And we only have few teams, and we are going to bring more teams. So that's why I'm doing this like kind of POC. How can we handle this before we get that more teams into Salesforce?
For what it's worth, I would reinforce what everybody's saying. Squire summarized really nicely of they're encouraging you to look at the input rather than the outcome, because there are going to be many ways that the humans are going to mess up your email to case process. And if you're saying this is a proof of concept, this is your moment to push back and say, here's what I would encourage us to go down as a business. And I just heard you say they're going to expand it. Let's make sure we can guide this to the right happy path here in the process.
Absolutely, because I love when I hear companies say they're going to hire more people. That's fantastic on the front end, but if it's an input problem and not a process problem or a scale problem, when that problem gets fixed, how many of those people don't have jobs anymore? That's a horrible outcome for something that they came in with a lot of hope for. So yes, this is definitely your time to shine, to make sure that if there are more people hired, it is for the absolute right reason. I mean, just think about the pandemic. How many people, like Salesforce, all those layoffs we had about a year ago in the tech space, Salesforce and Accenture and all of them, because that bubble burst. We thought we have to overemploy, and then there was no work for them to do. So that's awful, unfortunately.
Mm.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I
You
will.
got it.
I will pitch that to my team too, and see. We're still working on POC, so we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Talib.
Keep us posted. We can try to help as more questions come up.
Okay.
Daniel. Daniel, are you there? You're muted.
Yeah, hi guys.
Hi.
Yeah,
Long time,
appreciate it.
sir.
Last time I was here, you weren't, so that's on you.
Oh well.
So it's been even
Fair
longer
enough.
than you realize.
Fair enough.
And they helped me out. They didn't necessarily fall apart without you, I'm sad to say. But I wasn't really going to address this. You look like you had time, so I'm trying to put this lookup to the account on the quote object, and I'm realizing we don't want the contacts related to the account. We want the ACRs, and that is
Well,
hard to do. I'm having a hard time.
Right. The ACR is the relationship.
Mhm.
And you want the contact beyond the relationship, right? So
No, I want. I don't know what I want. So I want the ACR. I want, when the lookup, I want to be able to pull in all the ACRs, not all the direct contacts, because there's more than just direct contacts. I want all of the relationships to choose from. So, and I'm looked at it and I just hit a wall. And the first option was to put up a lookup to the account. And so I realize this isn't going to work, but I can't find the lookup to the ACR. Am I missing something? Or ACR?
Yeah, and the ACR is just a
magical.
joiner object. You can't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want that anyway. You're still
Okay.
going to get back to a contact.
yeah, you've got to go
Yeah.
through the account to the ACR to the contact.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's possible.
You have to do it with a flow because it's a double master. It's a master detail to the ACR. So
Okay,
you
now
can't
that
go,
makes
you have to
more
go down and then back up. So you can, if you start with something like, go get all the ACRs related to this account. Now go get all the contacts related to those ACRs account. And actually, you don't have to do it that hard, but that's how you're going to sneak up on it. Because now you're trying to pick a contact. So yeah, you have to do it the hard way.
So
Okay.
hold on. I'm trying to, and maybe this is just how it got paraphrased on the slide. Trouble placing a lookup to the ACR quote. I want my contact on the quote to only allow contacts related to the account. So it's been a minute, but where is quote and accounts relationship?
Yeah. So my lookup is on the contact, which is filtered to only contacts related to this account. And it should be only contacts related to the account relationship object, ACR. Those
So
are the
does
ones I
that
want to
mean-
allow, not.
So I guess the yes, no in this is, are you only, like, let's pretend account contact relationship was never invented and all we have is the account contact relationship. Are you saying just those contacts, or are we also allowing contacts in non-primary relationships to accounts?
I want contacts and non-primary relationships to accounts
Okay.
to exist.
Got it. Okay.
I built that, and they
Yeah.
said, "Where's this guy?" It's like, oh, okay, hold on, give me a minute. And so
Why?
now it's like, now it's not a filter. So now it's a flow. And
For
it's
for
good
a
answer.
quote, for something like a quote that obviously impacts financials, why are we expanding it out to the non-primary relationships?
Is it just
The-
information
Company
or are
has
you
different
rolling it back up?
contacts.
Okay, I'll answer Dale first. The business case is this sold to has a lot of ship to relationships. We're picking this ship to. This ship to is related also to this guy. This is the one I want this ship to be related to. This ship to is related to this sales contact, right? So even though it has to, the quote has to exist on an opportunity, has to be built on a sold to level. When they go to pick the ship to level, which we have these relationship partners functions in, this ship to doesn't have that person on it. This person is related to this ship to, which is a different account. So I can't just be accounts one-to-one. It has to be relationship because there's this network of ship twos related to this sold to. And I can't just pick this guy and then this guy.
So
not
it's
there.
not it's not a decision maker kind of thing. It's ultimately trying to move a product from place A to place B due to multiple relationships. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Cool.
And if you're in a flow already, it got a lot easier because you're gonna have to do a little bit of iteration anyway. You can give yourself a nice, record choice object that just says, here's all the contacts that have any relationship to this account. Which one do you want? And then move from there. So you're already halfway there. It's just you have to change your logic because it's not a filtered lookup anymore.
Exactly. So it's not click here, pick somebody. It's going to be click this button, fill in with these options, and then it will insert. And make sure you click save before you do anything else. Right. So,
Also, yeah.
and now it's going to be like, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, of
So
course not.
now I think we're going to
not
open
magic,
it back
right?
up to everything in the org, and then you have to know who you're looking for.
Yep.
And it's not going to be as easy. So that's all.
Yep.
I tried.
Oh, I mean, it sounds like you're definitely on the right track. That's to Squire's point. You just got to go a little bit further, but I think you're on the right path.
Yeah, and I think the reply is going to be, it's easier for us to just type in the guy we're looking for than for us to click a button and then pick the selection and then save it and the flow. Now I'm clicking 3 times when I could have just typed his name 3 letters, right? And then
Well,
found it.
except, do you prefer to go by Daniel or Dan or Danny?
Well, they know their relationships pretty well. They know exactly who they're looking for. So I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that we wanted to make it idiot proof, so you can't. And I think that's just not going to be quickly. And then it has to be fast. I don't want to click 5 times. I want to click 3 times. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
It's too hard to build an opportunity.
So I know we want to. I can't just leave things alone. There is the iterative principle of, okay, we're going to start with an MVP that has 5 clicks. Let's make sure we're on the right path with it before we just go straight to a requirement of must not be more than 3 clicks. That's technology driving the strategy, not strategy driving the tech. That when you say I have this system that can only do this, you have just blown agile out of the water. If you go with this is the most efficient, you have an agile MVP to then iterate on to improve, would be my parting thoughts.
Yeah. We're very reactive. We're very agile, but now we're being stuck into this. We're being our Salesforce team is being managed differently, and now it's being more corporate, and now we're having to conform to different standards. So that agile methodology is quickly going away as we become more corporate. It's like, well, did you check this? And where's the documentation? And who authorized the change? And so it's like, wow, there now it's not going to happen fast. Used to be an email. This is the guy to talk to. Get it checked with the product owner. Now it's different. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a global business, so it makes sense. It's tough to make changes quickly.
I just want to throw out one side comment, as I'm apt to do. So the I want fewer clicks mentality is pretty standard response from the whole world, doesn't matter who you work from. And I think that very often that is like an uninitiated leader's response to say it's got to be easier. And it's a great opportunity to now talk about, okay, well, let's talk about what you think is easy. Because I'll give my anecdote. I had our global investment banking CIO was like, this has to be done in 2 clicks. And he would not hear otherwise. And so we actually did an exercise where it was like, okay, explain these 2 clicks. You keep saying 2, is that the measure? How is this going to happen? And made him like kind of first walk through what his perfect vision was, regardless of tooling. And right away we're like, well, that's 9 clicks, just so you know. So let's talk about what my solution will be. Look, it's 3 clicks. If we do nothing, if we do it like what you were saying, like you're just gonna have to look it up and just know their name. Well, you know what? That's actually 5 clicks. That's actually harder to do than the solution I offered. So if it isn't about 2 clicks, unless I'm calling it that, if you're saying I need to do this quickly or based on quality or based on, you know, like idiot proof, whatever you want to call that, in as far as like when you're talking about your users, you know, it's got to be intuitive. I think if you start to make that math turn into real requirements, you might be able to trick them into telling you that you were right the whole time.
I mean, here's the analogy I give my kids all the time about, like, I think about shortcuts when I hear you say that, Squire. We got to minimize the number of clicks. Shortcuts. My number one rule as a parent is no shortcuts. The analogy I give my parents that I give my kids is, here's a bucket of water. You have to get it from one end of the yard to the other. Are you going to walk and it's going to take longer? Or are you going to run? You got there, but all your water's missing because it's sloshed out, and now you have a mess to go clean up. When you say I'm going to run all the way across, okay, you are completely discounting all the cleanup that needs to happen on the back end. There is a balance of slow gets it done, and done fast. You got a crap ton to clean up when you're done. Great, you got to the end, but there's so much more that needs to happen.
Did you say crap ton, Dale?
I wanted to use a different unit of measure, but I remembered we were being recorded.
It's an imperial measure. We can work with it, right?
I mean, my wife and I are working our way through Schitt's Creek right now. I mean, I didn't just swear, I was citing the show. Yeah. So sure, why not? I can call it a different unit of measure if we want.
Oh no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was just, I don't know why it like caught me off guard. Sorry, I digress. Does that help, Daniel? Yeah.
When you said flow, then I knew what I know how to build that flow. I'll go back to the business and say, I can't give you this, I can give you this, and then we'll see what they say.
Well, I hope what you're going to say is the best way to deliver that requirement is this way, not I can't. Never say I can't.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
going to tell them the filter on this lookup isn't going to work. I can do something different.
Yep. Love it.
Does this? Yeah.
Cool.
Solid. Oh no, Squire. What do you?
No, so I just was going to fill time. I have a super random question, but if it makes more sense to come back to Christy, we can.
Christy, what? No, Christy's like, no, we're good.
Well, no. So if the requirement is met and they have a visual of what they want, and we're hiding the path from that subset of users, then That's great. So I sent the link that Sarah gave to Richard to go look at and do. Thank you so much. Good play. So I'm going to see if that works first rather than try and build it all in 15 minutes. Plus, I didn't build the flow. He built the flow. So I don't want to screw up his flow. So
Of course, I was playing around with it while we were talking. So I can say one thing that I'm pretty sure it's not going to work with reactivity, just because that is so, like, the output from the component isn't going to be recognized to be reactivity yet, but I'm sure there's other ways you can get around it. But it's pretty cool. There's some setup you have to do.
we sent her a screenshot and then she goes, how many fields can be there? I'm like, yeah, okay. Pick list has value. So what are you trying to achieve?
Fun times, fun times.
Yeah. It's
All right.
definitely going to be a little bit of a hack solution, I think.
Thank you for playing, Sarah. I will let him know that reactivity probably won't work.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, Squire, you've got 6 minutes. Or
All right,
less.
that's perfect. I only wanted a 5-minute time bucket. So I'm going to try to give you the best example. So we have a need to be able to search for a record, but we have to be able to search for like 6 different field values across that record. So like genericizing it, I need to be able to say, I want any record where the address is Wisconsin, the email is populated, the annual income is over $100,000, and a checkbox is true, right? I want those records, but I get to type in those values, whether those are true or falses, or Wisconsin or Illinois or whatever. So like it's dynamic, and then I fill in a couple columns and I get back all the records that match that.
It really sounds like a report.
Well, it's got to be within a flow because we're picking that record and assigning it to something else. So yeah, but it is just a report, except that, yeah. So
Just slap some AI on it and call it good.
yeah, well, it's not a bad idea. We've actually discussed it.
If
I
you're
thought there was a SOCL query builder component somewhere. I'd have to go searching for it, but because it sounds like what you're doing is creating a SOCL query basically and then running it in Flow.
Well, but so yes, but so Squire, I want to go back to like understanding you said Wisconsin or Illinois. Can you go back to that context again?
Think of it. Yeah, I probably gave too many details. Think of it like I have a form, like I have an empty record. Whatever I type into the fields, give me every record that looks like that. And then I'm going to pick one of those and assign it to what I actually kicked off the flow from, in theory. Right. So maybe there's a better example. Like,
okay.
I don't want to paint it into a corner because the actual use case is way too hard to explain. But just think, what's another example? Like, I need to pick the case where it was closed on the 3rd, but I need to be able to pick that date, and it was this type, and it was this, and it changes every time I open this wizard up. But I've got like 10 columns, so it's not just searching for name, it's not just searching for like one criteria. There's like 10 columns we have to be able to search against.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you're looking at SOCL then. When you said Wisconsin, but also Illinois, I had this thought, like me living 10-15 minutes, living in Kansas 10-15 minutes away from Missouri, because Kansas City sits on 2 states. Like if you were, that's why I said AI was, well, yes, I know this person is in the Kansas City metro, but we can't limit it to one state or the other. So start bringing in those additional considerations to automatically expand your search. But no, you're definitely looking at like a firmly defined SOCL kind of thing. It sounds like it just sucks that it's multiple parameters.
Yeah, well, and the problem is that it's got to be a user input flow. Like, it doesn't have to be a flow, but it's got to be a user-driven experience where they pick the columns. And then there's some additional things of like, okay, well, so a little bit more detail just to help clarify it. So what it really is there's 20 values, like numeric values, on one of these records. Those drive like basically the model that we're searching for. And when I, as a user, walk in, I'll be like, I want all the ones where this column is 40 and this one is 13 and this one is 6. And then eventually they're going to be like, and I want a differential of like +1 or -1 from those. So like it keeps getting harder and harder to sneak up on the list. We don't want to write a component because they can't even prove to us that this is going to work yet. So we're trying to do it with Flow. I offered you could do this with a prompt, right? You could just have the Flow, have it say, give me everything where X is 1 and Y is 2 and give me a variation, and then have it just suggest a list back. But that's a little bit scary right now for everyone. So just trying to think if there's a better way to sneak up on it.
Sarah and Dale both put links in the chat, Squire. So you've got a place to start.
And Squire, for a client, we did something similar for that, where it was, give me all the shipments in the, booked for the next 60 days, or give me all the shipments in the last 30 days that have this or that. But it was a screen flow that brought back the table. So.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. I mean, because like if it were just one column that we were searching for, it works super slick, right? You just have a multi-select range and you just, like I'm searching for anything that X is true, but now it's like X or Y or Z or L or K or N or T or or. Like it's kind of this, like if you had to write a report for this thing, you just quit your job. So we need the Flow to do some work. So
Can you make this a little more difficult and also include custom metadata type in your requirements?
yeah, absolutely. Sure. And a custom permission set to make sure that only certain people can even use it. So
Can you please also make sure that the org has quick create enabled?
remember what we said about positive? Remember?
What?
You
I'm
said it?
just asking. It's a requirement. I mean, come on. Just asking.
And Squire, I'll add to your list of links to search through. There's a link I put in there too for a consulting firm that built something I think very similar to what you're looking for, but they had the requirement that it needed to be external facing.
Oh, okay.
But if I remember, it's been a while since I watched their solution. I think that they created some sort of composite field that they used as the search criteria that the end user never saw.
Okay. All the ideas are good ideas. I appreciate the input, everyone.
Which you could use CMDT to build that hidden value. I'm just saying.
Hire an intern, have them do the groundwork.
Just assign tasks and say, go find the thing that we're looking for with these criteria. Sure. Perfect.
Yeah.
Why not?
Tick, tick, tick. We're at like a minute past the hour. So if y'all have meetings that you're supposed to be at, like I do, you got to go. But well, I'll talk to everyone later. You guys can hang out as long as Dale and Squire can.
No, yeah.
I gotta go pick up a kid from school.
Jump. Bye,
Thank you, everyone.
all.
Have a
Happy
great holiday.
December.
We'll
Happy
see you
New
in
Year.
January.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Holidays, be safe,
bye.
everybody.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Yeah.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling, ding, ding, ding.
Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride
We're right together with you.
We're still recording.